From Bunlock Springs Wildlife Recreation Area. Okay, what is this here? You must log into this network before you can. Why is this not doing this for me? Here we go. Hang on one second, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I don't understand what this deal is with this trailer because I have a trailer that is supposed to play like right now. I don't know what this says, but I think it's on. Okay, there we go. Apparently, it's supposed to play for 2 minutes. I don't know what the deal is, but let's see here. I don't know where is Bunnock Springs Wildlife Recreation Area. Yeah, I don't know why this didn't play. I put in a trailer. You can add in a trailer. Good morning, everybody. Let me just say that right now. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, I know I'm live. Okay. Um, yeah, I don't know why this doesn't work, but I hang on one second. I don't know where it is. Bangpu Recreation Center. Anyway, see, I put in a clip. It's a countdown. It's 2 minutes. So when this stream goes live, what you're supposed to see is a picture of me for like 2 seconds, and then you see the countdown, and it goes from 2 minutes down to zero. And that way, I'm not showing like the lights or somewhere else. It's just a countdown. You saw that clip, but I skipped to the end. Okay, so that clip did play. I didn't see it. For some reason, it did not show for me. Gillis, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Jim, good morning. Dale, good morning. Gabe, good morning. Everybody, good morning. Okay, good morning. We got a nice stream today. I think it's going to be very informative for some of you. And I'm going to help you if you're moving over here to Thailand. After 30 years abroad, I'm going to give you some of my better recommendations for the aspiring expat who wants to move over here. Now, there's a big difference, like I always say, between living here and visiting. Huge difference. Because when you're just a tourist, you don't have to worry about what it's like to live here. You don't have to worry about the red tape nearly as much. So I'm going to give you some recommendations, 16 at least, to be precise, on how you can transition from your home country to another country, whether it be Thailand or somewhere else. So I think it's going to be very informative. Hopefully, you will listen to these recommendations, even if it's just a handful of them. If you decide, hey, some of these are good ideas, or yeah, I know all this, or whatever, but you listen to them, and they should make a difference in your move. It's up to you whether or not you want to listen. But I personally think these are pretty good, and if you listen to them, it will help you, and it will make things a little bit easier. Um, Now, I wanted to talk about something real quick. Um, so maybe you guys have heard, but the president, not President Trump, but President Biden has pardoned his son. And if you think about it, he's a father and he doesn't really care about his legacy because he cares more about his kid, which I understand. That doesn't make it right, though. Guy's getting off scot free for a period of like 10 years. I'm wondering what you guys think. Because I think, they use this pardon, the presidents, and I'm not just talking about Biden, I'm talking about a lot of presidents. If they use it for the right purpose, then that's great. But like, oh, my son, the drug addict, the tax cheat, and oh no, they won't. No, they won't. And the gun runner or whatever he was, for a period of 10 years, he cannot be prosecuted for anything having to do with those subjects. So he's off. Now, Biden's 82 years old. He's probably like, listen, my kid is screwed up. This is the only one I got left. I love him. So I don't care what people say about me. I'm just going to pardon him and, I'll be dead soon. And then at least I did what I had to do for my kid. No, but he's off. They pardoned him on all this stuff, okay? All I'm saying is, Trump pardoned Jared Kushner, Ford pardoned Nixon, and these things happen. But in this particular case, I think it's a little bit screwed up. I think it's a little too much. Let me just get my kid here and wipe his slate clean before I die. And I cannot, at 82 years old, I definitely couldn't see Biden running for another 4 years. I don't know. I mean, 86 years old, you got to be in great shape to be able to handle everything that the presidency has to throw at you. And I don't think he could. So I'm not saying that, it is a good thing that he didn't run. And I guess it's a good thing they put in Kamala Harris. But whatever. We are where we are. It is what it is. And if you haven't heard, yes, he pardoned his son. His son is scot-free now. All right. Listen, we're going to go over this here. It should be pretty interesting. First, the exchange rate, 34.50. Not bad. I'll take it. Air quality, a miserable 168. Unhealthy for sensitive individuals. The temperature is a balmy 79 degrees, high of 94, low of 74. It was a low of 69 the other day. And I was like, wow, this is great. 69 degrees is like a perfect temp. 70 degrees is perfect. And the feel like temperature is 85, 73% humidity here. Partly sunny, slightly cloudy through next week. And, it should be pretty good. The weather should be pretty good. I haven't seen any rain, so I'm happy. I'm a happy camper. The exchange rate is good. The only thing that's really crappy is the pollution and traffic. It's like pollution, traffic, exchange rate. Are you living by the beach? you can't always, it's hard to have everything. You know, you may have low traffic and, the exchange rate is shit. So, it just depends. But anyway, I like what's going on. Um, Today is December 3rd. Yes, all the provinces in the south are on high alert for the floods. Flooding is easing in Hat Yai, but in other parts of southern Thailand, they're still underwater. And I know down in the south where we have our house, it's flooding, but it's not coming into our house. So that's what we care about. Is it coming into the house? And it doesn't come into the house very easily. And we can block it off if we want to. Um, but the flooding is supposed to continue until the 5th of December at least. And so this flooding is in the south of China, but it's also in Malaysia too. So and these floods are really devastating the rubber plantations down in the south, which is not good. And we have rubber, we have a lot of vegetables and fruits and rubber and all this stuff. And I don't know that this much rain is good for any of that. I think it's just too much. Anyway, all right. Now, if you enjoy this stream, smash the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you know the rest. I'm not going to get into it today. Okay. Um, yeah. If you need any help, send me a message. We'll work it out. Work something out. But I wanted to get into this list. I've got 16 things, and actually, I think it's one or two more. I'm going to start with the last. I didn't put these in any particular order. I don't usually do that, but this one is the last one on my list, and I'm going to, this is second to last one on my list. And I think this is very important because what I've said for a long time is, what are the people who come here who are in their 20s and they say, yeah, I live in Thailand. Do they plan on living here forever? What is their plan long term? And I often wonder about that because for most people who are young and they come here, they have no plan, no real plan. It's different if you come here and you're working for a company and you have a contract, and at the end of the contract, you might go back to wherever you came from, or you might go to another country. Okay, I understand that. I'm talking about people who just go, oh, I've had enough of the United States, or I've had enough of Australia. It's too expensive here. I got to find something else. And then I've heard guys, they're 22 years old, and they're like, oh, my God, this place is horrible. I've had enough of this. And I'm like, dude, your life is just starting. How have you had enough of it? You've been in high school for 18 years, and you might be in university. So what do you have enough of? I don't get it. Okay. So you need to, if you are young, here's the first thing. If you are young, it basically comes down to one thing. If you're young and you move over here, save your money. If you only get $1,000 a month, live off of $750 a month. I mean, you should be doing that no matter where you are. If you got $2,000 a month, live off of 1,800, 1,600, whatever. But save your money for when you get older. Because as you get older, you may not be making the same money that you were when you were younger. When you're younger, those are your earning years most of the time. You never know when you'll need the dough. whether it's for business, an emergency, whatever it may be. You're going to need the money, and it may come in handy. And let's just say that you come over here, you're 25. By the time you're 35, you're bored, and you're like, okay, so what am I going to do? I want to move somewhere. Okay, you got $3,000 in the bank. Where are you going to move? You haven't been saving your money. Where are you going to move? And also, the savings is a big thing. No matter what you're doing, whatever you decide to do with yourself, you always got to be saving. But what are you going to do? If you're 30 years old and you live until you're 80, you got 50 years that you're going to live in Thailand, in the Philippines, wherever it is. What are you going to do? You're going to screw chicks? You're going to be like 75 years old and you're going to be the man running around with your Viagra in your pocket? You're the man. Yeah. What a life. I understand it doesn't have to be, you're studying rocket science and you're getting into those kind of things. You don't have to have that kind of a life. That's not what I'm saying. But you need to have some kind of a purpose, something that you do. If you're young, this is for young people, people that are under like 40. The other thing is, you're young, and it's just part of it. You're young. How are you going to stay here? You're going to get a visa? Well, you got to have money. So, if you're 22 years old and, mom and dad give you $20,000 and you put, let's say you put $7,000 in the bank so that you can move over here and you can get a visa. Okay, fine. You still got to keep making more money. And unless you're independently wealthy or you have something that you can draw on for the next 50 years, what are you going to do? So it's a huge consideration. And I think that a lot of people who are younger, they don't really think about what is really long term. They think about for the next couple of months. So I think that's pretty important. Now, no matter what age you are, if you're going to come over here and you're saying, I'm moving to Thailand or I'm moving to wherever it is, the Philippines, Cambodia, Ecuador, whatever it is, keep your return ticket. When you come over here, the likelihood is that you will buy a return ticket. Keep that return ticket. Make that return ticket a year off, whatever it may be. And then, maybe after a year, you go back home just to see your folks or see your friends or just to go home and straighten out some loose ends, whatever it may be. But you need to have that ticket. And the time will come where you either use the ticket and buy a new ticket, or you will let that ticket lapse and not go back home. But you need to have money for a return ticket. You need to have the money to get back home. So if you put $1,500 away and you go, this is going to buy my ticket to go back home, don't touch that money. Be smart. Which I know it's difficult sometimes for people to be smart when they're like, oh, I got to go out tonight. I'll get more money. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. And, if you're an American, the last thing that you want to happen is that you have to go on your hands and knees to the embassy and say, please repatriate me. Because what they will do is they will send you back home and they will put a hold on your passport and you will not be able to leave the country until you pay off the full amount. And the full amount will not be the budget ticket that you might be able to get if you just had cash. Let's say it's $700 to get to Dallas, right? Well, you're not going to pay $700 because they're not going to do that. They're going to give you a full fair price. You might pay $2,500, and you're going to have to pay that back before you even think about going anywhere else. So that means you got to go back home, You got to be set up to where you can start working again. You got to start making money. Then you're making enough money where you can stash money and pay them off, and then have money to where you want to come back, you can come back. And when I came over, I had 10 grand and I had money coming in every month. And I thought that was enough. Now I don't think it's enough. You can go through 10 grand here. I mean, really in a month. But let's say 6 months. So if you don't have a job after that, what are you going to do? You got no money coming in. But the last thing you want is the embassy to send you back home. And I think another really smart move is that if you are coming over here, at least in the beginning, but if you don't have a huge amount of savings, you're not like going, oh, I've got $50,000 sitting in the bank that I'm not even touching. Okay, well, that'll help you to get set up if you have to go back to the States or wherever. That'll help you to, you got to buy a secondhand car, you got to get to an apartment, that will help. But you need to figure out at least about 3 months of what your expenses is, including an apartment, maybe a car, an old car, a motorcycle, something. And then that will help you to get settled if you have to go back to your home country. So I think that's really important too. And I think a lot of people forget about this and they just go, oh, yeah, I got a ticket. Well, that ticket expires January 1st and you're still here and it's February 1st. So that ticket is no longer valid. So what are you going to do? Now, hang on a second here. What is this here? If you have a pissy attitude where you're coming from, you have a pissy attitude here as well. Just sharing it with the other miserable Farangs that you hang with at a Farang bar. Yeah, I didn't even think of that, Jim. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. But that's not one of the things. I mean, listen, you got to have a decent attitude if you come over here. You got to be a decent person, have a decent attitude. It really, you got to have your head on straight. If you don't and you're a total screw up and you got a bad attitude, well, you're probably going to, maybe you get your ass beat or you get thrown in jail or who knows, you just have multitude of problems. So, I think it's important that you remember this, but that's not really on the list. I kind of expect that people come to the country here and have a decent attitude and they have a decent attitude and basically they're not looking for problems. They're not going to create problems. That just goes without even saying. I don't even want to think about, oh, you come over here and you're gonna go out and get drunk all the time. You're gonna pick fights with people. You're gonna go to jail, and you might get your ass beat by 10 Thais. You don't know. So I would say, come here with a decent attitude. All right, let me get to the next one. Now this one, I know a lot of people think it's easy, and maybe they're starting to change their attitude about this now because they've started to see and they've started to learn. But do not count on YouTube to make a living. It may be possible, but in most cases, it's not going to happen. Or if it is, it's going to take many months or a couple of years to be able to make any decent money. I would say probably 3% of YouTubers, 5% of YouTubers make decent money. And the rest of them, it's like a pyramid. The ones who make a lot of money at the top, big money, there's very few of them. The ones that make a little bit of money are down at the bottom of the pyramid. So don't think that if you live in the United States and you go, oh, I'm going to go over to Thailand, I'm going to be a YouTuber, I'm going to go all around Asia and I'm going to make money and I'm going to do this and I'm really, okay, if you've got some skill you were like a television producer or something like that, you really know the business, then maybe you'll have a good chance of earning some money. If you were a dummy like me, I had no idea. I didn't know about making money. I just kind of fell into it. And I still don't make a lot of money. And that's okay. I do the best I can. Um, but don't count on it. That's what I'm saying. And there are some real idiots out there. They think they're going to count on it. I mean, I know a couple of guys. I'm not going to mention any names, but they also stream, and maybe they get lucky and they make some money once in a while, and then the rest of the time they're not making shit. So they're living off of $700 a month or something. You know, and that is not a life that most people want. If you're making a small amount of money and you're staying afloat, hey, that's great. But it's not good for the long term. The long term, you need to make $2,000, $3,000, $5,000. If you really want to prosper, that's what you need to do. So it's not as easy as some people may think. Some people know the routine. They know, it's not easy. And some people, they just think, oh, I'll just go over there and I'll do it. How do I go about doing that? Oh, I just make a couple of videos. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. Chances are you won't. Okay, so that's another one. That's number 3. All right, let's get to some of these other things here. Keep your home mailing address or get a P.O. box, and make sure you have a way of having items from your home country shipped to wherever you decide to live. So for me, my parents will ship to me. My sister will ship to me. I have friends that if I really need them to, they will ship to me. And I use my parents' address. If I didn't use their address, I would use my sister's address. If I didn't use my sister's address, I'd probably use a post office. But it's important that you have an address for a multitude of reasons. Keep an address back home. It's the smart thing to do. Okay? Keep an address back home. And make sure someone can ship whatever you have. That, like, my bank will not ship my debit card to me here in Thailand. Neither of my banks will do that. They won't ship the debit card to me here in Thailand. And so, it can be a little bit problematic. But I get it shipped to me. End of problem. All right, let me get over to this stuff. If you earn your money, if you earn the bulk of your money online, or you plan on earning the bulk of your money online, it doesn't matter if it's YouTube, it doesn't matter if you're selling widgets, it doesn't matter what you're selling. Don't come to Thailand and then start the business. That's not the way that you do it. Start your business from wherever you are. United States, Australia, wherever, UK. Start your business there. Build it up. Make the money. Figure out how to ship everything. Are you drop shipping? Do you have other people? Do you have people that you trust that can do everything for you? How are you going to do it? But until you are set and you're making money for 6 months or a year straight, I make $5,000 a month. Don't come over here thinking, oh, I'm going to take care of everything. The other thing is that once you're here, it means that if things don't work out back there, you got to go back home to try to straighten things out. If somebody is not doing what they're supposed to do, and you can't call them, you can't use Zoom or whatever it is, WhatsApp. You can't tell them, hey, buddy, get on top of everything. What's going on? You're supposed to do this. If they're not doing it, and you got to go home, you got to go fire them, you got to hire somebody new, whatever. You need to make sure that you have everything in place and you have a backup in place so that, you know, um, these kind of things won't happen. They refused to ship my credit card and debit card. My friend shipped them with my renewed driver's license. The package was repacked somewhere along the way, and my driver's license was removed. Well, that's too bad. But I could have told you, Jim, that most banks will not ship your credit card or your debit card to a foreign country. Most of them don't do that. Trade options, halfway smart options play can yield a pretty easy 8%. Robert, we're not talking about the jobs, really. We're just talking about if you're going to rely on something online, make sure you have it set up before you make the move. Make sure it's a reliable method of earning money. So if you are a trader, make sure you've got plenty of money in the bank. You're trading, you're making money pretty consistently, and you don't really have much to worry about. That's what I'm saying. Don't come over here and start doing something and go, oh yeah, this is how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be a gambler. Yeah. I'm gonna play poker. I'm gonna bet on football. Well, unless you've done it for 6 months to a year when you're back in the United States and you've lived off it there, even if you're living off of $3,000 a month and you're living in somebody's basement, but you're earning 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, whatever it is, consistently, then you can think about moving over here. But like to come over here and you're like, well, shit, I hope I can really do this. I hope I can make money from stocks. Yes, I hope my Bitcoin I earn enough money every month where I can live here and not have to worry about anything. I mean, it's the smart thing to do. And I know some people may go, yeah, whatever, I can do it however I want. Okay, then do it however you want. I don't care. Let's see here. Where am I? What did I do here? Oh, okay, here it is. Now, I know people may think about this and perhaps they'll scoff, perhaps they'll uh, think that they don't need what I'm saying. I'm here to tell you if you rely on this formula, I think you'll be fairly well off. You may lower it a little bit, but and maybe that'll work, maybe it won't. I don't know. But for me, it's worked pretty well. When I need to do something, I figure out how much money I need. Like if I want to take a trip, let's say it's going to cost me $2,000 for the trip. I go, okay, $2,000. That means 2,500. You tack on 25%. It doesn't matter if you're talking about your living expenses, you're talking about what it's going to cost for a trip, whatever it is. I always say add 25%. If you can't, then add 20%. If you can't, add 15%. I wouldn't go any less than 15%. But 25% is pretty safe. That gives you a pretty good buffer. Believe me. And, when you come over and you go, okay, I figured out my expenses, it's $1,400. That's what I'm going to spend. $1,400 every month. Okay. But that doesn't have a buffer zone in there. If you have an emergency, you need something, and you didn't plan for it, you don't have that figured in. So figure in something like 25%, 20%, whatever it may be. But in the first couple of months, you may go, oh, it's going to cost me $1,400. Yeah, that's it, $1,400. But what you really need to do is go, listen, for the first 3 months, I'm going to have to pay setup charges. I may have to pay some fees. I may have to pay because I need some things. I may need, I may need a table for my kitchen. I may need some appliances. You're like, oh, I'm at home. I've got to go out to eat all the time. I can't eat whatever I want, or I've got to order, through Grab. I've got to order a burger or whatever it is. How about you make stuff at home sometimes? People think, oh yeah, I'll just come to Thailand. I'll live off of Thai food. Okay, you can do that, and you can do that in the beginning pretty easily because you're not sick of Thai food. You know, after 30 years, I can't say I'm sick of Thai food, but I don't want to eat it all the time. Why would I do that? Why would I eat it all the time? I'm looking right now. We got Vietnamese, we got Japanese, we got Korean. Um, there's French food, there's Greek food, there's all kinds of food. Italian food. So I don't want to eat pad thai or samtam or tam yam kung or pad krapao. I don't want to eat that all the time. It's boring. It's like if I had a cheeseburger every day of my life for the first 5 years of my life. Would you get bored with a cheeseburger? I think so. So I would not think that you're going to be able to get by in the beginning and it'll be so easy. Oh yeah. Listen, if you got 20 grand and you're like, hey, I make 3,000 a month, and you got 20 grand in the bank, and you go, I'm going to come over there, I'm going to get set up. It's going to cost me 5 grand. I'll spend 5 grand to get all set up. You will. You'll be fine. I'm talking about people who there's a lot of people that come to Thailand. They're on a tight budget, and I know what it's like. I've been there, and sometimes now I'm on a tight budget. Sometimes I go, hey, I got this money, but I don't want to spend it. You know, but in the beginning, yeah, definitely, I was on a tight budget. I was on a pretty low budget. So you really need to think about it, and you need to think that maybe for the first month, if you figure your bills are $1,500, $1,500 a month, maybe you need an extra 500 for the first 3 months. You don't really know. But Thai food is boring. It has to be one of the least boring foods out there. But I get it. No one wants the same thing all the time. Well, maybe someone does, but not a lot do. Listen, I've had damn near every Thai food that you can imagine. I've made Thai food. I've had people make it for me. I've had little, chefs, great chefs make me food. I've had, vendors, all kinds of vendors make me stuff. Generally, I can find something that I like, but at this point, I've already had it a couple of hundred times. How cook be? Okay. I've had it many, many times. Yeah, sometimes I go, I just have a hankering for that. How kamu? Okay, sometimes I eat it and I go, ugh, fuck, I don't want to eat this. And sometimes I eat it and I go, oh, this is so good. But any food that you eat all the time can get boring. I love Vietnamese food. Vietnamese food and Thai food to me are neck and neck. But I'll get tired of Vietnamese food. That's why you have choices. Because you can choose whatever you want to eat. Rarely do I get bored with Japanese food because I don't eat it enough to where I get bored with it. I eat it once in a while. Italian food, don't get bored with it because I don't eat it all the time. Thai food, I've eaten it. I mean, I've eaten fried rice, 1,000 times. Fried rice is like, it's like eating potatoes in the United States. So you have to think about that. Now, obviously, if you're going to come over here, you need to plan. I would not, at this juncture, just jump on a jet and say, I'm going to Thailand. I got $2,500. Oh, I'm going to go over there and live there for as long as I can. 3 months. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that anymore. And I did it, but I had planned for about a month. I was like, okay, I'll have 10 G's, and I got 1,500 a month. And that's for 18 months, I thought. And I thought that's enough. And if I go there for a year, I have money when I come back, and I'm fine. I'll be okay. I'm taking a year out of my life. That's what I thought. But I didn't take a year out of my life. I took a year out and decided to take a little bit more. And then before I knew it, I was here and I was set. So you got to plan with like military precision. And the one person that did plan, and I always use him as an example, is Jono. He planned for 10 years. 10 years. So you know what? He comes over here. There's very few things that surprise him. He comes over. He's got the life that he expects. He's got a better life than back in the U.S. Now, when I say you need to plan, that means you need to have a plan B and a plan C in case things don't work out. Like if you, for some reason, you foolishly piss all your money away. You found some beautiful lady, you thought you were going to get married, and the next thing you know, you're broke. Happens. Happens to many, many people. What are you going to do? Oh, I don't have any money for my return ticket. I guess I'm going to have to go to the embassy. Oh, great. That's just fabulous, right? Go to the embassy. It might take you 2-3 years to get back on your feet to be able to come back. You'd be better off borrowing it from someone and just saying, listen, I'll pay you $100 a month than going to the embassy. So you need backup plans. And if you're under say 40, you're young. How are you going to, what do you plan on doing here? Do you plan on being here forever? Do you know what the word forever means? You need to think about that. Forever is a long, long time. Like I said, if you're 30 years old and you decide you're going to live here forever and you end up living here for another 50 years, that's a hell of a long time. Listen, I've been here 30 years. And to me, it's a long time. When I came over here, computers were not what they are now. They were slow. You used a modem. There was no voice IP, really. And if there was, it was shit. Smartphones were, bricks. I mean, think about that. So times change. But if you're young, are you going to work? What are you going to do? Are you going to work part-time? What about doing more than just staying afloat, but making a prosperous living? And what happens with your social status? If you're young, you're probably going to want a girlfriend. Now, you may just sleep with the girls, have a little relationship. Okay, that understands. But at some point, there's going to be some chick that you really want. And she's going to be like, listen, if we can't be in a relationship, what do I want to be with you for? That may happen. Now, you may go, okay, well, that's it. We don't need a relationship. Okay. But what happens if you do have a girlfriend or you get married or you have kids? Where's the money going to come from? How are you going to think about that? And, honestly, I did not really think about those things. I didn't plan. I was not a planner. And now I am a planner. because I know it pays to plan. What is the 7 P's, right? It pays to plan. If you don't plan, generally you're going to fail. You need to plan, um, and things don't always go as you plan. So you got to think about that. Busted my ass for 50 years so that I could have a decent retirement. Then decided I was going to move here and spend a decade planning to move. Yeah, but Jim, I can tell you, not everybody wants to work for 50 years. I didn't want to, and I didn't, and I've done uh, pretty well for myself, consider all things considered. And so for me, that was what I wanted. When I got away, I wanted to have an adventure. And now I can tell you that my adventures, I mean, I've done all kinds of things. Been all over the place. Been shot at. Been threatened. Been thrown in jail. You know. So I've done a lot. Now, there are some things that you can do, like you're working for a longer time, you're setting yourself up for when you do retire, hopefully you'll be better off. That's the thinking. But what happens sometimes is you work so long that it's really hard, it's really difficult for you to have time to enjoy it. Not everybody has the time to enjoy it. Yeah, my nose. You do, so that's good. But not everybody does. And that's another thing I'm going to get into shortly in a couple days or week or so. What happens if you croak? You got to make every minute count. And I never used to think that way. But now I'm a little bit older, and I know I'm nowhere as fit as when I was 20, 25 years old. Nowhere near it. And I always think to myself, what happens if I go? Well, I'm done. Okay, so then I'm dead. But that means that I don't get to do a lot of the things that I wanted to do. How many things do I have left that I want to do? I have a few, right? Most people do. So I think that you need to plan, plan, plan. And if you're the kind of guy who you're really smart, you're really frugal, and you know exactly what to, your money works for you. You're not necessarily working for your money. Then you can set yourself up to where, let's say you're 22 years old, you do something like you go in the service, you work for a company, and after 20 years, you get a pension. So oh, I got a pension. Oh, well, this job, because I did this, I can do something else where I work 6 weeks on, 6 weeks off, plus I have my pension coming in. I got plenty of dough, right? You can set yourself up like that, but most of the time, people who are young are not taught that way. They're taught about crocheting and cooking and math and science, but they're not taught about money. And I think that's a shame. But I think now more people are learning about that on their own, and it's getting easier to figure out that you can do things yourself if you're smart. But you got to think, if you move over here and you're not that old, and then in another 5 years, 10 years, you meet some chick and you guys hook up and you want to be with her, you don't want to be away from her, so you get married. Then guess what? You have a little bambino. Well, guess what? That's going to cost money. I mean, when we had our kids, it was like 50,000 baht for the birth of Alex and Nicholas. 50,000 each. That was in Boomerang Grad. I can't imagine what it would be now. Maybe it's 100. I don't know. But it can't be cheap. So you got to come up with that money somehow. All right. So there's that. Plan. Plan, plan, plan. Okay. Keep one, even two banks in your home country. Two is a bit of a backup. If something happens with one, you have a backup. And then also have at least one bank account, perhaps two, in the country where you are moving, like Thailand. Because if something happens, you always have a backup. You have a backup uh, financial institution, and it will make things easier. Having people go, oh, do I really need a bank account in Thailand? I'm like, if you live here, why wouldn't you have a bank account? You don't have to keep. If you want, you can keep all your money in the safe under your desk. You know, but keep something in the bank. You're gonna need. Listen, you want to pay things. Um, yeah, you can pay cash if you want. You'd be walking around with a wad of cash. Okay, if that's what you want to do, then do that. I generally don't even walk around with cash anymore. I don't have to. I got a credit card. I got debit cards. I got my QR code. I don't need it. Why? You can say, oh, they're tracking me. They're doing this. Okay, so what? So they track me. I'm not doing anything wrong. And frankly, if they're tracking me, they're tracking other people. You know, Scott, the way the economy is here, often a person at pension time is still deeply in debt. The powers that be want you in debt so you remain a good little worker bee. Yeah, but somewhere down the line, you need to take responsibility for your own finances. If you're in debt, why are you in debt? Why? Oh, because I had to get that extra credit card. You got credit cards, you got, $10,000 in debt. Well, pay them off. You owe for the house. Okay, well, pay the house off extra fast if you can. Get it done. Do it. You know, debt is not your friend. You don't need to have debt. That's just stupid. Carrying debt is dumb. I mean, I understand that maybe you might need to get a loan for something simply because it's way too much money. It's you know, out of your price range. Um, but then you got to think about, okay, what if something happens? It'll ruin me. Okay, does that really matter? In some cases, no. In some cases, hell yeah. You know, well, I don't keep up with the Joneses, and I never really have. I just don't. I don't really care. I own one new car in my life. That's it. And I've owned about six motorcycles and about three other cars, and none of them were new. They were used. Because why? I just looked at it as like, why am I going to pay for a brand new vehicle that's going to cost me way more than it should, and it's going to depreciate the minute I drive it off the lot, the minute I start using it? It's depreciating by 20% at least. Why would I do that? I don't agree with that. And hopefully next year, my wife and I, we will be completely debt free. Now, she's looking at a house again. But if we really want it, we could pay that off maybe we could pay it off in 7 years, maybe 10. But if we really push it, we could probably pay it off in 5. So maybe that's what we'll do. I don't know. I got to think about that. All right. Let me go further here. If you have the time and money, visit Thailand at, at least for a month, maybe even 6 months, whatever you can afford. And if you really have money, and money is not that big of an issue, or let's say you want to go to Mexico, you want to look at Mexico as a place, you want to look at Ecuador. Okay, they're pretty inexpensive from the United States. They're fairly inexpensive. So you can go to those places for, a song and a dance, really, $400 or $500 for airfare, and you can figure out what it'll be like to live there. You go there for a 2-week trip, a month-long trip, and you do your research. You look to see what's what, and then you do something like Thailand, and you got to have the money to do it. But okay, let's say you got $6,000 that's free. You spend 2,000. You come to Thailand. Hopefully, you can stay here for 2 weeks or a month. You see what the feel is. What does it feel like? Hey, how do I like this place? Then you go to Mexico. What does this feel like? Then you go to Ecuador. Hey, how's this place? And you go, all right, I really like Ecuador the best. So then you plan on coming to Ecuador. But you need to visit at least one place, preferably for a month or two, so you can get the lowdown on how everything is and what it's like, and how do you feel when you're here or there or wherever it is. How do you feel? Do you feel like everybody's watching me, man? Oh my God, these people, they're looking at me with dirty looks. Well, maybe that's not the place for you. Maybe you're just paranoid, but All right. We talked about the banks, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, here's something. Have a credit card, hopefully with a zero balance at your disposal, just in case you have an emergency. This is aside from having emergency cash, you know, one of these things where you just go, oh my God, I've got to fly home. Boom, you put it on your credit card. You don't worry about it, you go. Have a credit card. You're going to need one. At the very least, have a debit card, but have a credit card. I've had my credit card for 15 years now. And it's, I don't want to get rid of it. I don't care. I don't have to spend money on it, but I don't want to get rid of it. Because if I need it, it's an emergency. It's something I can use in the case of an emergency, and I don't have to think about, oh, I've got to get the cash from the bank. No, I just put it down, boom, paid. I come to the grocery. I come to here. I go, oh, I got some money on the card. All right. So I go right over. They say, okay, that's 110 bucks. They tap my card, boom, paid. It's done deal. It doesn't mean I don't think you should carry cash. You should have cash at your home, cash on your person. Whatever. I do think you should. But I think you need to diversify a little bit. Anyway, get a credit card. Have a credit card. That'll help you. Before you leave, be certain that you have 2, even 3 methods of financial transfer. For example, Wise, a debit card from one bank and then a debit card from another bank. Make sure you have a way to get your money from point A to point B. I'm talking about you don't want to have to use MoneyGram. You may not want to do that. PayPal probably is not the best method because of the transfer fees. Wise is excellent. Revolut, very good. I think there's D-Money also. There's a couple different ways. So get 2 or 3 different methods set up, then you don't have to worry about it. And every once in a while, use one of them. So if you got 3 methods, use one of them most of the time. Then go over to another one and go, listen, I got a little bit of time. Let's just see how it goes with this one. Boom, you use it. That way you're keeping active with that service. But you need to do that just to make sure that you can get money. I mean, if I really needed money, I could get it through, MoneyGram or Western Union or something like that. The cell phone keeps some people broken in debt. New phone every year for a family of 4. The same people complain about the price of eggs that they spend $10 a month on, but $300 a month on phone payment. Well, Listen, it's hard to fix stupid. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, listen, here in Thailand, what I was going to say is I pay about 13 bucks a month. That's it. That's all I pay. And that brings me to the next thing here, which is get rid of your phone from your home country. If you're not planning on living in your home country, if you plan on going back every 2 years, every 3 years, or you don't plan on going back, get rid of that phone. You don't need the Verizon phone. You don't need it. Oh yeah, but I want to keep my number and I want to do this and no, I get 100 minutes. No, don't keep it. Believe me, get rid of it. You can always get a burner phone when you go there for 50 bucks. You get yourself a burner phone and some time. And you can use that when you're there for your 2 weeks or whatever it is. That's fine. But you don't need the phone and you don't need to bring it over here. Get yourself a phone here. I mean, they're not cheap here. But you can get them. You listen, if you really want, you can get a secondhand phone here. I mean, I used to get them. Like just a phone, and you could use a text, but it was like very difficult. And it was like 800 baht. It was like 20 bucks, 25 bucks. But if you really want like a smartphone, you're gonna pay 6 to 8 thousand minimum, which is about 200 bucks. But if you want something really good, maybe you pay 500 bucks, but it's worth the investment. Because with that phone, first of all, you got the phone, which is great. You don't need a landline. You also can make payments with that phone. You can go onto and do your banking through the phone. Some banks don't even have a website anymore. They use an app, and that's it. You have to use the app. That's all you can use. And if you don't use your phone back in the US or wherever it is, if you're not going to use it all the time, it's only going to be when you're visiting, which is once a year, twice a year, once every 2 years. Get rid of it. Get a burner phone. Keep that one. Whatever. Pay as you go. Because you probably don't need it that much. Listen, Jim, I have an eSIM. I don't have to have a SIM with I don't have to have a SIM. I just say, I'm going to this country. I want to make phone calls there. Oh, okay. And I'll tell you what. I went to Vietnam a couple months ago, right? My bill this month for when I was in Vietnam is about $19 for the month. Normally, it's about $13. So I paid $6 to have roaming in Vietnam, to use my phone in Vietnam. And I didn't even get I have an eSIM. I didn't even say to them, hey, listen, I got an eSIM. I want a Vietnam phone number. Set me up. I didn't do that. I just paid for the roaming. And it's peanuts. So I'm like, hey, I'm happy. Your phone should not break you. I mean, that's just the bottom line. It should not break you. It should not be something that is so expensive that you're like, oh my God. Well, we're not talking about there. We're not talking about in the United States. We don't live in the United States. We live here in Thailand, or we live in the Philippines, or we live in Ecuador. We don't live in the United States, fortunately. Phones and plans here are insane, and even Europe and Thailand is even cheaper than Europe and Thailand is even cheaper than Europe. I paid $35 and only pay cash for a new phone every 4 or 5 years, and never the newest top of the line ones. Okay, but it comes down to all the guys that I see who are like multimillionaires. The guys here in Thailand that I know who are millionaires. None of them has a great phone. None of them even have an iPhone. They all have some shitty phone, or they have 3 phones, and they're all not very good phones. They're basically phones, and maybe one of them is okay for like text messages and that sort of thing. Most of them don't even care. And to be honest, I just don't. I just I don't care that much about a phone. For me, I use my phone for music, sometimes to watch videos. I use it to shoot video and to stream. I use it to take photos. It's like it's your complete package, and that's it. I don't need anything else, right? Do you use that phone roaming option when you went to the Americas? Well, I wasn't on this phone, but I did use roaming, but it was a bit more expensive. I don't know. It might have been $30, something like that. But I didn't have this phone the last time I went to the United States. But I would say, sometimes you got to just go, okay, it's one thing if you want to use an eSIM. But if you got to go and buy a SIM every time you go somewhere, that is a pain in the ass. I mean, I used to have like 4 or 5 SIMs. I'd keep them in a little plastic bag, one from Myanmar, one from Cambodia, one from Indonesia, and then I'd have the Thai SIM, and it was a pain in the ass. Let me look and see if I can find my SIM card. Let me put it in there. Do I have the little thing that I can, to make the SIM pop out? Do I have the little mechanism? You know, so, I would say get rid of your phone. Now, if you don't think you need a phone here, next time that Two Quarters Korean is in the stream, whenever that will be, I don't know. Maybe he's sleeping right now. I have no idea. Ask him, because he used to say, "Oh, I don't want a phone. I don't want a phone." And listen, I get it. I get you don't want a phone. Listen, if I really had anything to do with it, I probably wouldn't want a phone either. But you know what? I need it sometimes because it's like I guess if they put a chip in my hand, they'd be better off. But I don't want a chip in my hand. But I can pay for everything. I can listen. Listen, when I'm done streaming here, I'll put my headphones on. I'll turn on the music. I'll listen to music, and I'll go over to the grocery. I'll buy a few groceries, right? I'll go home, and then if I need to go somewhere else, I'll go. If I need to get on the Sky Train, I have the line on my phone, and the BTS is taken off of my line account, which I'll get to in a few minutes. Unless you have big money, make sure you have health insurance. Check to see if your home insurance will cover you abroad. Perhaps if you're moving over here and you want to have insurance because you do need uh, insurance, I would say that you've got to get some travel insurance. Maybe you make it good for 3 months, and then you go hunting and you go looking around to find out which uh, insurance that you want. I got some quotes the other day, 2 days ago, and I was shocked because some of the quotes are like $500, $600, $800 a month, and I'm like, are they fucking clueless? I don't pay that much now, and even if I upgraded, I wouldn't pay that much. So I'm like, what are they fucking talking about? I'm not going to pay $800 or $1,000 a month for medical insurance. I'm like, I might as well live back in the United States. And here's the thing. I'm covered in the United States. So if I'm in the United States, if I can get to the United States, I'm covered by the VA. I'm covered. So I don't really worry about that. The only thing I worry about is, can I get from point A to point B and get into the hospital? That's kind of problematic. But you need to have health insurance. So make sure that you check to see, um, what your insurance is and what it covers and where it covers and, everything like that. Um, we pay 7,000 baht for me and my two kids. So, and mine is the highest premium. And then we have another insurance also. So it pays to look around, it pays to shop around. And, I don't know. I don't have enough money to where I could go, listen, if I had to go in the hospital and it was going to cost me 4 million baht, I could just shell out 4 million baht and it wouldn't hurt me at all. That's why I have insurance. Okay. Used household effects duty exemption. You need to look into this. This is very important because you can save yourself a bundle by doing so. And I'm going to give you a link that tells you the specifics of this exemption. And it includes other goods than the personal effects which are brought with the passengers in or out of the country. To be eligible for duty exemption, the importers are required to have owned, possessed, and used the household effects before they return to Thailand to resume residence, and the quantity of the household effects is required to be reasonable. Examples of the household effects including televisions, refrigerators, air conditioners, etc. Now, you may not need these things anyway from outside the country because it's not the same. They're not using the same electrical conduits, I guess I could say. If I brought over I did do this. I brought over my the coffee maker from back in the U.S. It was one of those coffee makers that you put in a little capsule and boom, it makes espresso for you. I brought it over here from the U.S. I plugged it in, put my capsule in, and the next thing I know, the thing was frying. I needed a converter to be able to use it, and I forgot about that. I didn't think about that, and I fried my espresso maker, which was a couple $100, which didn't make me too happy. But so let me just give you this here. I'm gonna send you this. There you go. That is from Thai Customs, and it tells you all about. Your household items import clearance and the criteria, whether you're Thai or you're a non-resident, whatever you are, non-Thai resident, it doesn't matter. But it gives you all the specifics here, and there's some phone numbers and things like that. But you can bring in things without having to pay duties. You just have to meet the criteria. So that's something else. So let me see here. Oh. All right, here's one. I understand they sell that. Not everybody wants to get it. And it is a bit of a pain in the ass to use it. I mean, unless you've got thousands and thousands of dollars of stuff you want to use in Thailand, I don't see that it's worth it. You can get a fucking new TV here. You get $500, you get a great TV. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. All right. If you have recurring medical issues, and a lot of people do, first of all, you need to let your doctor back home know exactly what you're doing. I'm moving to Thailand. Hey, I'm going to need some help. He can give you your records. He can put them on a flash drive, on a DVD. Sometimes they can email you stuff. Um, but if you have recurring prescriptions, you need to see if the drug is allowed here, if you need a prescription here, and if you need a prescription, can they fill it here? You need to figure all these things out. But it's important that you do this because it's the difference between having your medicine and not having your medicine. And you don't want to have to go back to the U.S. and then carry a year's worth of meds to come back here. And a lot of times you don't really need prescriptions here, but you may need it. And so you got to figure that out. And then you got to talk to the doctor here in Thailand to figure out what you're going to do. So it can be a little bit tricky, but it can be done. All right. Now, once you land in, for instance, Thailand, and you get yourself a phone, here in Thailand, for sure, you want to download the Line app. It is the preferred method of communication here. Definitely the preferred method of communication here. Then once you have your phone, you have the Line app on your phone, just look into Line Wallet. Basically, you just sign up. If you're a foreigner, you use your passport, and this will allow you to do things like put money onto your phone, which you can actually send to other people if you want to. So if you got some girlfriend and you want to send it to her, okay, you send it to her. She might have the money within the next day. She'll get the money. Or you can do things like pay for your electricity, your water bill. You can top up your phone if you have a prepaid account. I would say get away from the prepaid because it tends to be, the prices tend to be higher. You may think, oh, well, I'm only on the phone, like, if you're only on like twice a month for like 5 minutes, well, then you're going to save money. But if you're on the phone and let's say you're on, 2, 3 times a day, get a postpaid, man. It's better off. You're better off with the postpaid. Believe me. Also, like I said, you can pay your electricity and your water bill. You can pay for quite a few things, but something you can also do is link your Line account with the BTS, which I talked about many, many times before. You can do that. So what that means is you've got your wallet, like I have my wallet here, right? I say, I'm going out. Here's my card, right? I have money on my phone. Let's say I have 1,000 baht on my Line account. I go up to the turnstile. There's my card. I smack it down on top of the glass. It reads my card. Boom! It withdraws, 35 baht, 40 baht, whatever it costs. Uh, Whatever it costs to take your trip, and it comes right out of your Line account. So you can put on 1,000 baht, and I pay my water. I pay my water. My water used to be 150 to 200 baht. Now it's about 300, 400 baht. I can pay for my electricity, which is great. If before I had a prepaid account, I took money off of my Line to pay for the prepaid account. Now I don't do that. And what I do is I link my credit card to my AIS account so that when I want to pay for my AIS, my Amex pays for it, and then I get bonus points, frequent flyer mile points, on my card. So anytime I use that card, I'm getting points. Yeah, but your Mac is you can use your Mac here. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's American or not. You can use it. You can do it. All right. So let me just keep going here. Um, Personally, if you are going to get an account with whether it's AIS, True, whatever, I personally think AIS is the best. I think AIS is the best, and I think if you get, it's called the AIS 399 postpaid account. This gives you 60 gigs of bandwidth and 200 minutes of call time. They charge you 2.5 baht for SMSs, but that's SMS messages. If I want to send a message, generally I send it through my line account, so I don't pay for it. And as I said, I went to Vietnam, I guess a month and a half ago, and my bill this month was 650 baht total, and it's not even 20 bucks, and that's including the roaming charges. So you can't beat that, man. I mean, 20 bucks with the roaming charge, 13 bucks without it. Come on, man. That's a great deal. Do people use AIS here or WhatsApp here? Yes, they do, but not nearly as much as Line. If you come here and you go, well, I got WhatsApp, some people go, I don't have fucking WhatsApp. Some people will go, oh, yeah, I got it, but I don't use it much. You know, I know people that have it, and I use it with certain people in the United States, and I never use Line with it. I use WhatsApp with my sister, you know. But, whatever you got to use. But here in Thailand, the preferred method is Line. As simple as that. Um, like I said, my bill is usually around 420 baht. I am always connected to the internet. I always am connected. I got 5G, right? And you're allowed to, make your payments and everything. But if I need my phone for banking, if I needed to pay with my QR code or to watch videos or whatever, I always have the internet. So I'm good to go. If you're young, really think about what you're after when you're making a move. You may think life in the United States or wherever is terrible, but is it really? Maybe you need a break and then you need to change your perspective a little bit. Even now, while I think the cost of living is a bit out of control in the United States, I don't think the United States is such a bad place. It may not be as good as when I lived there, but I don't think it's terrible. If you're 30 and you live to be 80, that's 50 years to live in, say, Thailand, Ecuador, wherever it is. You better think about that. That's a long time. And I can tell you, because I've been here for a little more than 30 years, and I can tell you that's a long time. I can't believe it. I can't believe what I look like when I came here, what I look like now, how I was when I came here, how I am now. What's important to me now, what was important to me then. Things have changed a lot. 30 years will do that to you. 50 years is a long, long time, and you're going to change. So, your decision-making process may change. Your goals may change. So all you can do is prepare yourself. Think about it. Really prepare yourself. Think about every little angle, man. You got to think about these things. And I know it's hard. You may just go, it doesn't matter. Yes, it does matter, believe me. If after a year or two, you're still just treading water, whether it's here, the Philippines, wherever it is, you're just treading water. You're just like barely able to get by. You've got, $50 a month to spend. That's it. Go back home. Go back home and regroup. That's what I would recommend. Now, sticking to this list is safe. Nothing is perfect, and it will always be difficult to try and plan for everything because things are not always what you think they're going to be. But this should give you a head start and hopefully put you in the right direction. If you just remember a handful of these, you'll be better off than if you just come over here like some dumbass who's like, whoa, what do I do now? I'm going to get me a girl. Remember, if things don't seem to be working out, you haven't figured things out, you can always go back home for a spell, earn some money, and figure out how you'll make your second move. You can always leave and come back. I went back for about 5 months. I had been here for a while, and I was like, man, I'm not making it. I don't know what to do. And I went back, and I thought, I'm going to work in Seattle. I thought, well, this is what I'm going to do. Okay, I'll go back. But in my head, I'm like, how can I get back to Thailand? What am I going to do? And I went to Seattle, and I worked in a place for about a month, rented a room from somebody, it was like $300, something like that. Just had a room. There was nothing in the room. I had nothing. I went in the room. I basically, they gave me a blanket. I slept on the floor. I went to work every day. I made good money, pretty good money. And then I met some guy, and he was like, oh, yeah, let me give you a number. You can call this. You should be able to get a job, blah, blah, blah. I went in. They called me in. They said, listen, can you come down here tomorrow? Sure. No problem. I went down there. They go, you're hired. Can you fly out tomorrow? I said, fuck yeah. I'm out of here. I'm going to Alaska. Wow. That's what happened to me. I went back to Alaska and I started making money. I didn't have to pay any money when I was there. And then I came back to Thailand. I bought a ticket, came back to Thailand, and then I started thinking about it, and I thought, I got some money, but this is not enough. So then I went back. I took a month in Thailand, then I went back, worked again on a boat. And after this trip, I was kind of like, fuck this, man. I don't want to work on the boat anymore if I don't have to. I'm like, I don't want to be one of these career guys who's, working on the boat. And then, I get off the boat, blow all my money, and then I get back on the boat, make more money, and then blow it, then make more money, then blow it. I didn't want to do that. So the second time I came back to Thailand and, I had money and I started making money and everything worked out. I got lucky. But I knew the game better. I knew how to handle myself a little better. And I knew how to live here comfortably. And, what I would say is, if you come here and you find yourself failing, don't beat yourself up. Just look at it as, you haven't succeeded yet. And then, you figure, okay, so how can I get to my goal? How can I get to be able to live here? And believe me, I know it isn't easy. You're thinking about things and you're going, holy shit, I don't know if this is going to work. And you know what? Sometimes all you can do is try. And you may fail. You may come here and then, it might be 5-10 years. And you go, it's been 10 years since I went to Thailand. I think I want to go to Mexico. And you go to Mexico, for some reason, something is different, and you end up staying there. And you're happy. That's all you can hope for. Jim, and some things like my AV receiver and subwoofers have a switch that can be changed over, but I would never bring that stuff. I bought expensive DeLonghi coffee system for my wife. Not thinking about voltage differences. I only bought the power converter so she could use it with that. She never did. Yeah, there you go. All righty. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Appreciate it. And I would greatly appreciate if you hit the thumbs up button. And if you have not subscribed already, you subscribe, hit the notification bell. You think about the becoming a member of this channel. You can do that right where it says join next to the logo. It says join. You can join right there. $1.99. You can do all kinds of things. Uh, you can use the Cash App. You can send a super chat, super thank. You can buy me coffee. You can buy my merch. You can become a Patreon patron. You can go onto my website at americaninbangkok.com and get one of my books, or you can go to Amazon. And this doesn't make me any money, but you could use the Wise account. I do have an invite. It will help you to send money, to transfer money from wherever you are to here and from here to there. It doesn't really matter the countries. It just matters you can send from here to there and there to here. Or you can follow me on my social media, whatever. Or you can just come back again, see me again, and yeah, that's about it, I guess. All right. If anybody has anything else to say, let them say it now or forever hold their peace. I really appreciate it. This is the end. That is all. We are done. Um, so I will see you all later. Again, thank you. My name is Scott. I'm an American in Bangkok. Choke me, little jerk at mine. That's good luck and see you later. And I am in Bangkabi. I'm in Bangkok, but Bangkabi to be specific. And hopefully I'll be somewhere else very shortly. I'm not sure yet, but that's what I'm thinking. So take care, and I will see you all later. All righty? Adios.